Hello, this is Angelo, and this is the second masterclass, the second webinar of Finish Stronger Challenge. And today we are here with another powerful subject, because today we will be talking about the plunge that we need to take before we take off. It is not usual, right? An airplane takes off from the ground, but in life you need this so-called learning curve, as we will see a bit later on. Of course, before we begin, I want to remind you that it is very important that you are here. So I want to thank you for being here, and I want to congratulate you for being here, because I know that so many people are signing up for all these challenges, and guess what? Some of them never appear even on the first webinar. Some just watch the first webinar. Some maybe go as far as the second. Very few go all the way. And guess what? Very few can go this 100-day challenge that we are in. But you know what? This is what it takes if you take seriously not only your fun, but also your destinations, your high-value destinations, your dreams that you want to turn into reality. Because you know what? If you knew how to go about it, you wouldn't be here, right? If you knew how to go about it, you would have already been at your destination. And between where you are and where you want to go, there are some limiting thoughts, there are some limiting beliefs, and maybe you have noticed already this little rubber band that I have introduced in the first masterclass, right? So every time you have like a non-serving thought, this is what happens. And you know what? I've been so trained with this in the past 10 years. I've used it like regularly, but now I am so conditioned that just by wearing it, all limiting beliefs virtually disappear. There are some, but very scarce. So also, I want to remind you that you want to switch off your phone, or if you're watching from your phone, make sure that all the notifications are off. Make sure that all the other windows in your PC or Mac are off if you're watching from there. Make sure there are no distractions and you're focused on what we are talking about. If you want to use your notebook or like a tablet to make some notes, it's highly recommended. Although you can always watch the replay if you want to just pay attention or invest your attention, as I like to say, to what we're doing here right now. Also, I want to remind you that I fully respect your time, and I will do my very, very best to keep these masterclasses from now on between 30 to 45 minutes. Last time it was almost 50 minutes. And if it goes towards like an hour or so, it will be because it is truly like a subject that we want to expand, a subject that we want to put a lot of attention on. Last but not least, I want to remind you that you have like crossed the point of no return, and from now on, all that can happen is you landing at your destination. There is no way back to, let's say, sloppy self. It's your super self that we will be going after. Now, I want to give you a brief reminder that we began with the first masterclass last week, which was the basis of transformation. And this week, we will focus on the plans that we need to take before takeoff. Why is that important? Because I use this in most of my programs. I want to illustrate to you, this is your trajectory. And the first half will feel like kind of a steep slope that you need to climb, and you put a lot of energy because you know where you want to go, and you know that there are some limiting beliefs and limiting habits. So this is what will be happening in the beginning. But as you convert these old non-serving beliefs and you upgrading them to the ones that can truly take you to your destination, you feel that now you're on the downturn, and now you're ready to gain some momentum and feel that every day becomes easier, and you like truly accelerate towards your destination. How do you feel? The most important question that I'm always asking, like many times a day myself, my family, my colleagues, everyone that I meet, basically, simply because, let me remind you, change requires energy. And if you have like what we so-called like big goal, it takes a lot of energy. And the better you feel, the more energy you have. And let me remind you that all we want to do here is to stay in this happy and unstoppable state. Okay, so eliminate the time that we spend in the victim or go-getter attitude, which gets some results, but in a way that is not sustainable. And we want to do our very best with the exercises that I've given you to keep ourselves in the happy and unstoppable state. Before I end the previous masterclass, I said, beware of the iceberg. Why did I mention that? What did I mean by that? Before I tell you why, let me give you the reason. And what you see here is the port of Hydra. It is a small island in the southwest of Athens. It is a very common destination, like for the weekend or something. But what matters is that I've been entering this port many times, sailing towards the Greek islands. And never, ever have I seen an iceberg in the port of Hydra. And why did I mention that now? Because the icebergs and all these challenges, because the iceberg is your subconscious, right? It is the reason why you will stumble upon some kind of challenge from on your journey towards your destination. And this challenge always happens when you drift to the open sea, when you drift to the unknown, when you drift to a place that you don't know how to handle. And this is where you start feeling that this is hard or this is impossible, but it's all a matter of your programming, all a matter of upgrading your beliefs. And this is why I mentioned that we need to take a plunge, because in order to communicate to your subconscious, you need to get there, underwater. You need, your conscious mind amounts for about 5% of your activity, and 95% is subconscious, as we will. And within this unknown, let's say, is a very big part of your self-image, and the part that is non-serving and you don't know about it. And this is why I mentioned Carl Jung's quote in your latest invite to this webinar, that until the unconscious becomes conscious, it will govern your life and you will call it fate. So basically what happens is that we all have a self-image and we all want things. We all have desires. Smaller or bigger, doesn't matter. What matters though is that usually these desires are not matching up with the beliefs we have on what we can do or what we deserve. And this is where the problem lies, because if you had a desire that you already believed you deserved and you already knew how to go about it and you were already willing to achieve, it would be done. Or you would have the patience because you knew that there was a gestation period, but you would consider it like done, like it is done, end of story. So how most people live is the problem, because what you experience in life is your self-image outpictured. And how most people live is that they don't want this gap in their life. They don't want to feel that their wants are so far away from their beliefs. They start feeling discouraged, and this is where all the negative and low-key, low-value emotions kick in and become a habit. So this bitter feeling, you want to do something about it. And what most people do is that they lower the bar. And I remember back in the summer of 2008, a couple of months just before we found out that there is a huge financial crisis breaking in, I had my own financial crisis. I was in my office, I was like this, and I was basically talking to myself saying, you know what, this does not work, right? Your goals are like this high and your capacity is that high. So you will either lower the bar or you will have to do whatever it takes to go up there. And immediately, without hesitation, I chose the latter. And this is when I started this powerful personal development and digital marketing journey. And this training was basically kicked in from this decision. This is how important that is, because I want to tell you now the difference, because this is how your super self lives. Your super self never, ever touches the desire, the destination. Never. All you do is upgrade your beliefs to the point of your desires or even higher, because you never, ever negotiate your vision. So, what does that mean to you? It means that you need to find out what these rules of engagement are to train your subconscious to be your partner in success, because consciously you want to do things, you try things, you attend at the webinar, you burn the midnight oil, as Jim Rohn used to say, or you go to the seminar, you read the book, you do all these things consciously, and what you've been trained from society, your peers, or even your mentors is a good way to go about it. But still, nothing works. Why? Because you have not touched yet the big part, the subconscious. And in order to communicate to the subconscious and in order to give different instructions to your subconscious, you need to know the rules of engagement. And this is what we will be doing here. And this is why you need to take this plunge. Now you know why you have to go deep to your subconscious. Because once your consciousness is there is resistance and you cannot communicate to your subconscious. I will give you some examples a bit later on. So the secret to success or failure, because it's all a matter of what goes on down there. This is how important that is. So the secret to success or failure is in the deeps of your subconscious. So I think it's time for us to meet our minds, to realize the differences between our conscious and our subconscious mind, like the core differences. Our conscious mind is what we call the logical mind. Also, our conscious mind has the ability to choose. Our conscious mind can accept or reject something. Like what I'm saying right now, you can accept it or reject it. It's up to you. Or you might say, you know what? I'm tired of your webinar. I will go watch something else. Maybe binge watch Netflix or something. It's up to you. This is how powerful you are. Every single moment, no matter what is going on in your life, you have the freedom and the responsibility of your own thoughts. This is your conscious mind in action. Number 3, your conscious mind has a point of reference. So everything that I'm saying to you right now has to do with my trajectory in life and all that has become, let's say, apparent to my senses. What I am conscious of. If in this seat right now was someone else, and the presentation would be totally different, right? So always remember that what I'm giving you now is my perspective, because I cannot get away from my conscious mind as I'm talking to you. Also, the conscious mind has a finite potential. It's the things that I'm conscious of, right? I have to access to other sources of information. Maybe I have to read a book, ask someone, or tap into my subconscious for more information. So the subconscious mind is the emotional mind. And one simple way to give that illustration to you is that little babies, like a few weeks old, right? How do they communicate with their parents? Through emotions. They don't know the words, but they know, they can tell the emotions. They can tell how their parents feel. If their parent feels fearful of something, maybe like an earthquake is going on, the baby will also get fearful, because there is a communication there through the subconscious mind. The baby has not cultivated consciousness yet, but is able to communicate through emotions. Also, the subconscious mind does not have the ability to choose. This is gold. This is the game changer. Because once you tap into your subconscious and give the right instruction, the subconscious has no choice but accepting this as the truth, as reality. And this is why I like keep repeating to you, like the most powerful exercise you can do is your happy landing exercise, where you close your eyes and see and feel yourself at your destination as if it is present. Next, the subconscious mind has no point of reference, meaning it is absolute infinity. It is nowhere and everywhere at the same time. There is no sense of space or time in the subconscious mind. And this is why you might refer to it as infinite intelligence as well. Also, and finally, the subconscious mind has infinite potential. What I want to remind you though, and maybe you've heard it many times if you follow me for like years, is that your conscious mind is the captain and your subconscious mind is the crew. And now I want to take a little short time out here, because I want to give you like a truly point of warning here, because I have been a victim of this for many years, because I was consciously playing the crew as well. So as the captain, I was telling myself, this is where I want to go. And then I was running to make everything happen. And this, of course, wouldn't work, simply because, you know what? If you're trying to put effort against your subconscious beliefs and patterns, you will feel that you're pushing the mountain instead of being pulled by your beliefs and habits towards success. This is why FM Alexander used to say that we don't choose our future, we choose our habits, and our habits choose our future. So now let's take some time to go through the states of our brain. Imagine these are like operating states, right? So for example, in your any kind of device like your smartphone or your laptop or desktop, there are some programs that require some level of computational power. And depending on which programs are running and what activities are in these programs, you raise or elevate or downgrade, let's say, your computational power. Same goes with our brain. Our brain has different modes of operation. And the highest one is what we call the gamma state. And I want to keep the momentum from last webinar where I forgot to change some English gamma letter. And gamma state is from 40 hertz and up. Hertz, if you don't know, is simply cycles per minute. This is all it is. So 40 cycles per minute, right? And this is the level of what we call heightened awareness. Maybe some people will never reach gamma state in the whole of their lives. Gamma state is where you are when, for example, you are in an emergency, like as I said before, if an earthquake happens, or if a tornado approaches, or a hurricane, or if you are in the midst of like some kind of battle, right? And you've heard maybe cases that someone in the battlefield could stay awake for like days without even realizing they're tired, or they can hear something that is like half a mile away. Why is that? Because you are in a heightened state of awareness, and this is what gamma is. You become like a superhuman, basically, but this, of course, is not sustainable because you expend a lot of energy there. What is most common of all is what we call beta state, and this is the letter beta from the Greek letters, okay? So this is the awake state. This is between 12 and 40 hertz, and this is the state that I am right now. I am awake, I am in beta state, maybe I am in a bit higher beta state because I'm putting all the energy to help you stay tuned to what I'm saying here. And maybe I am kind of sweating a bit as I do in all webinars. You know why? Because I take into account, I cannot see you, So I take into account the maximum level of resistance that you have towards change. I assume that you have resistance towards change, and I put all my mighty forces to help you make this transition and make this transformation as soon as possible, so that you can meet with your super self as soon as possible and see your super life before your very eyes as soon as possible. The next state is alpha state. This is the relaxed state. This is the state that you are when you wake up in the morning or as you drift off to sleep at night. This is also the state that you are after like a big heavy meal, or this is the state that you are if you just sit at the beach and listen to the waves for just a couple of minutes, and you relax and you are more receptive. You can consider the alpha state the moment that you cross the level of the sea and you enter the deeps of your subconscious. Next is what we call theta state, which is between 4 and 8 hertz, and it is the state of sleep, although many can reach that level of relaxation being awake at the same time through deep meditation. And last but not least is what we call the delta state, and this is between 0 and 4 hertz. This is the deep sleep state. Some people, again, through meditation, through a lot of practice, maybe, just maybe, they can reach that level of awareness while still being awake. And this is a very powerful way of communicating to your subconscious. Maybe you've heard practices like the Silva method. This is what you're doing basically. You train yourself to go to alpha or theta, and in some cases even delta state, while still being able to choose your thoughts and being able to imprint the belief that you want to have to your subconscious mind. What matters though, what matters to you, is that the lower the frequency, the easier it is to communicate to your subconscious. And of course, the best way for you to remember that is with an illustration, with a story, with an example, right? This is how powerful pictures are in our mind. It locks the teaching. Everything that you learn becomes much easier when you lock it with an image. And the image that I want to give you is that maybe while dreaming, you've seen that, your face is green, or a relative of yours has like something completely different in their body, or maybe you were flying in your dreams. How is that happening? It's simply because you were on theta state or lower, and the conscious mind is not there to say, oh, what are you talking about? You cannot fly. You cannot have a green face. And this is what we want to remind ourselves. Our subconscious is very powerful, but our subconscious needs a way of communication with us. We need to create some kind of rapport with our subconscious before we give instructions on what we want to achieve, and make our subconscious our partner to success rather than the obstacle towards our success. So, we want to change our beliefs. We want to upgrade our self-image. How do we go about it? Which are the ways to go about it? Number one, it's the easiest one, but also the one that is not serving us that much. And that is proof. Because by then, it's too late. If you see something, you believe it, but while this is true, and by seeing something, you believe it, it's too late, right? What you want to do is believe first and imprint that belief in your outer world. This is what successful people do. If you remember from the previous webinar, right? How most people live, their outer world affects their inner world. So their outer world affects their belief system. The few, your super self, creates the belief system you want, and then you imprint that belief system to the outer world. This is how you change your life. This is how you change the world. By sustaining with faith the beliefs that you truly want, the beliefs that get you to your destination. Number two, repetition of thought. You keep repeating something to yourself, And before you know it, right or wrong, it becomes your belief, right? And this is why you have so many people believing things that you and I would say, no, this is nonsense, this is not true. And they believe it to the core of their being. You know why? Because they have been trained so. They have repeated the thought many times over, regardless if they initiated the thought or someone else did it for them. Another one is affirmations, which is, again, the same thing. It's a repetition of thought, but it is something that you do basically out loud, right? So if I say from like the very beginning of my daily thoughts of inspiration from January 1st, 2015 until now, you deserve everything you want and we all deserve your best self. This is how I finish every single daily thought of inspiration. By now, you start training yourself that I truly deserve everything I want and everyone else deserves my best self. Next, writing. It's another form of communication with your subconscious and a more powerful one. And here's the secret with writing. Just because of the fact that you cannot write as fast as you think, you tend to slow down your thought. So as you slow down your thought, you slow down your rhythm, and then you lower the mode of operation of your brain, and then your subconscious becomes more accessible. That rapport that is so important, that connection that is so important, it is easier to happen. So this is why I truly suggest that you write down, especially now that you're in this finish stronger mode and you truly want to have an upgrade in your self-image and an upgrade in your results by the end of the year. You want to start your day by writing down, by jotting down on your journal, first thing in the morning, writing down what you want to achieve in present tense as it has already happened, and couple it with how you feel. Next, emotional intensity. You upgrade your emotions and you upgrade the imprint in your subconscious mind. This is why you see Tony Robbins putting so much energy in order to communicate something. Because Tony wants to put all his mighty forces to make that imprint in your subconscious mind. Next, an influencer, someone else is giving you a suggestion and you accept it, right? And now, does something come to mind? The best thing, of course, is what? Ads. So you have like no idea of what this product means, what it is about. And even though that this is still so, you start trusting the product because of all this repetition from an influencer, from a source outside of you, from your external, your outer world. Then we have meditation. This is where you quiet your mind. This is like a more receptive state to communicate with your subconscious. And of course, last but not least, we have hypnosis, which is basically kind of a guided meditation, right? So again, what you do in hypnosis is that you lower your brain's operating frequency, and now that you're more receptive, you give certain specific suggestions to your subconscious mind. Now, let's get a bit more technical, not that much. Change needs energy, as I said, right? What is energy? Energy is power times time. This is like the formula of energy. Energy is power times time. Why is that important? Because the product of power and time is energy. And if you want to finish stronger, if you want to compress the time that you get some results, you raise your energy, your power. You raise your power, you compress your time. This is why, and this is how you finish stronger. You finish stronger by elevating your emotional intensity. So, if you have the time, if you have like the patience or the time in general to achieve what you want, what do? You do as mildly and quietly as you wish. If you want to compress the time, you will get some results. What you're doing is elevating your emotional intensity. And again, I cannot think of a better example than Tony's seminars, because this is how important it is to put all your mighty forces towards change if you want to compress the time. So, that said, you have only one thing to change, because what you experience in your life is your self-image. And once you upgrade that self-image will be reflected in your outer world. Let me give you an example. If we sit in the same, let's say, mall, and we look around, we will notice completely different things. If we sit in a car park full of cars, and somebody tells us, on a count of 3, you will tell me which car you will see first. I will probably see my car or something similar, right? Or at least the color of my car, and you as well. Or the car that you are intending to buy, like the one that is on top of your mind. This is how important it is. So every one of us has a different experience in the same place because of that. And this is how important it is for you to upgrade your self-image and project. So our senses are as much receivers as they are transmitters because of our self-image. You have one thing to upgrade, and that is your self-image. And for that information, which is so important to stick, I want to give you another story that I found, that I learned from Stuart Wilde. And he said, imagine that you're holding a basketball right now, and use your imagination and start to see inside that basketball, in the inner walls of that basketball, see like little tiny buildings and tiny rivers, tiny lakes, tiny everything, right? And basically what you see is like the whole world. Now, imagine that you cut that basketball, and what you're doing is turn the basketball inside out, and what you see is the earth. This is how powerful, how important that story is, because it is a demonstration of how literal it is that our self-image is externalized to the very little detail, simply because we cannot escape from our current belief system. We can upgrade our beliefs as much as we want, and it will take some energy, maybe like a lot of time or a lot of power in a small period of time. And this is what we're doing here at Finish Stronger. But all that matters is that until we change that self-image, we will be externalizing the same level of results. So you have only one thing to change, and now you know that you need to make that commitment. And maybe the affirmation that I'm about to give you sounds a bit familiar, but we will make a small but powerful addition in the end. So the only fixed point in the whole universe is my destination. Everything else can and will change. When? Now. So this is what you communicate right now. This is basically your contract with yourself right now to finish stronger. The only fixed point in the universe, I will never lower the bar. The only fixed point in the universe is my destination. Everything else can and will change. My beliefs and my habits will change. My associations will change. The thing that I do all day will change. The seminars that I go to will change. The things that I eat, the things that I drink will change as much as they have to, so that I can reach my destination by the end of the year. So, just because we've said so much, and I know that some technical things about your subconscious mind can get like maybe overwhelm you if you're new at this, but I want to give you like 3 pointers so that you can have absolute clarity until next week, because from the next week we will be getting practical, right? So 3 things you need to remember. Number one, you always want to have one priority. Now at Finish Stronger, you don't have like 7 goals that you want to achieve by the end of the year. Maybe you have seven desires, but you always have one priority, and this is where you will be focusing on. Number two, you have one thing to change, and that is your self-image. And last but not least, always your first step is to upgrade your emotional state. Always. Because the better you feel, the more energy you have in order to achieve that goal, whatever it is. And at the same time, you have like the best life ever, because as I said many times before, you want to make unconditional happiness the fuel towards success. So many people make that mistake, and they have like an unhappy journey towards success, hoping that they will feel happy after they achieve some goal. This is not a good way to live your life. This is unsustainable, and it has been proven over and over again. And this is why so many models of the previous personal development models, like from the previous century, are not working so much anymore, especially in these high-speed, hectic lives that we tend to live right now in the 21st century. So make happiness, like unconditional happiness, go as high as possible. Maybe you will not make it in the beginning, but if this is your intention, and it is your intention to start your day with unconditional happiness as your state of operation, at some point you will achieve it. So we cannot end this presentation, of course, without homework. And your homework for the next week is to make a list of everything that you want to achieve and let your subconscious mind put that into operation. So what is the list of all the desires, all the goals, all the destinations that you have for the end of the year? But number two, you want to choose your number one priority, the one that you will be focusing on, and the one that you will applying all the teachings from Finish Stronger Challenge. 3, you want to start testing the waters, testing your belief patterns towards that destination. Is it something that you accept unconditionally as a done deal? Is it something that you say, it sounds hard, but I will do it? Or is it something that you think, you know what, I want it, but I don't believe I deserve it, or I don't believe I can achieve it? You want to start testing the waters, and once you do, you want to upgrade your engagement on our Facebook group by asking your questions. This is what I came up. This is the challenge that I have right now. What do I do about it? So that I have your questions in time to prepare the next presentation, the next webinar, and also you want to share all the wins that you have, regardless if it is from something that you learn from Finish Stronger Challenge or not. Because your wins will inspire others, and this is what we're doing here. We are a family, a mastermind, that we all powerfully and collectively upgrade our mindset and our skill set in order to achieve better and faster. Last but not least, if there is someone like from your family or friends or a person you know that they have the need right now for a restart in their lives or for an acceleration of their results in a certain area of their lives, invite them to this group. It is free. And I will be keeping the whole journey will be free, basically. It will only require about 45 minutes at most of your time every week for these masterclasses. And at the end of the day, you know what? Regardless of what we do by the end of the year, as I said before, because things happen, right? You know what? I can guarantee you that you will never, ever enter another challenge with the same mindset. You will feel that you have the framework and the blueprint and the clarity on how to go about any challenge in your life. Because the theory is the same. The application differs, for all of us, but it's all the same. Regardless if you have like a financial destination, a relationship destination, or a health destination, the theory, the blueprint is exactly the same. All you have to do is apply it, become better at it, and you will see remarkable results. So once again, I want to thank you for your participation. I want to thank you for being here, and I want to congratulate you for being on, like, truly on the trajectory to meet your super self in the mirror before the end of the year. So see you next week with webinar number 3. Ciao, ciao.